Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something really cool today. It's called the Data Collection Toolkit. And
Oh, interesting.
it's all about using data in the classroom, but here's the catch. It frames everything like you're a detective solving a case.
I love that. So many teachers get intimidated by data, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this book, it makes it feel, I don't know, less overwhelming, like something you can actually use.
Makes sense. It breaks it down into steps.
Right. And they have this story, it really grabbed me, about a school psychologist who got a referral for a student who was quote-unquote disruptive.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that
But
before.
when the psychologist talked to the teachers, they all had different ideas of what disruptive even meant.
Ah, that's where those operational definitions come in handy, right?
Exactly. Like instead of just disruptive, you need to define the behavior you're seeing.
Observable and measurable stuff. You can't measure disruptive, but you can measure hits, kicks, or screams.
See, that's so much more helpful. You know what else they talked about? The dead man test.
I love that one.
It's a way to make sure you're focusing on the action the student is kicking. Can a dead man do it?
Right. If yes, it's not a behavior, it's just a state of being.
So like disrespectful is too vague, but rolls eyes and refuses to make eye contact. Now you're talking.
That's it. That's something you can actually track and work with.
This is all making so much more sense already. I'm picturing myself with a little detective's notebook now.
I know, right? And once you have your target behavior, it's all about gathering clues.
The data.
Exactly. What kind of data will help you crack the case and understand what's going on?
And they go through a ton of different methods. It's amazing. Like frequency, duration, intensity.
Scatter plots even?
It's like a whole data toolkit.
It is. And the trick is choosing the right tool for the job.
So, like if I'm trying to figure out why a student is always off task, maybe a scatter plot could show me when it's happening most.
Right. Is it always during a certain subject or at a particular time of day?
Oh, and we've got to talk about replacement behaviors too.
Yes. Instead of just focusing on what you want to stop, what do you want to see more of?
So it's not just about don't get out of your seat. It's about let's practice raising your hand.
Exactly. It's a more proactive and supportive approach, I think.
It is, and it ties into that whole idea that data shouldn't be punitive, right?
Totally. It's not about controlling students
It's about understanding them.
and using that understanding to create a learning environment where everyone can thrive.
I love that. Okay, so we've laid some groundwork here. We know what we're looking for. What's our next step in this data detective work?
Well, now we got to dive into the actual methods, right? And see how they can help us answer those big questions we have about student learning.
I'm ready. Let's put on our detective hats and get to work. All right, so we've got our detective notebooks ready. Where do we start with these data collection methods?
Well, we got to track progress, right? Like, are they getting better, worse, or staying the same? That's progress monitoring.
Okay, progress monitoring. Makes sense.
It's like taking the temperature of a student's learning, but instead of degrees, we're using data.
I like that. But how do we actually do that?
Well, there are tons of ways. It depends what you're measuring. Like if you want to see how often a behavior happens, you'd track the frequency.
Oh, like that kid who kept getting out of his seat. We could see how many times he did that each day.
Exactly. And then you can start to see if maybe it happens more during certain activities or times of day.
That's really interesting. So frequency tells us how often something happens. What about how long it lasts?
Ah, that's where duration comes in handy. Say you've got a student who takes forever to finish their work.
Like they get distracted easily?
Could be. Tracking duration can help you see if they're gradually getting better at focusing or if there's something else going on.
I see. Frequency, duration, those seem pretty straightforward. But what about like when you're measuring something less concrete?
Well, remember rubrics.
Oh yeah, those things. I always thought they were just for grading though.
They can be, but they're also super useful for progress monitoring, especially with stuff like writing or critical thinking skills.
Oh, okay. So you could use a rubric to track how a student's persuasive writing is improving over time?
Exactly. You might see their arguments getting stronger, but maybe their grammar still needs work. That level of detail can be super helpful.
It's like getting a high-def picture instead of a blurry one. So rubrics for those harder-to-measure skills. What about those cold probes?
Oh, yeah, those can be fun.
Fun. I don't know about that. They sound kind of stressful, like a pop quiz.
They can be a little nerve-wracking, yeah, but they're a good way to see if a student has really mastered a skill.
Like they're not just remembering it in the moment, but they can actually use it when they're not expecting to.
Exactly. Think about teaching multiplication facts. You could give a cold probe a week later and see if those facts have really stuck.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got tools for academic progress. What about when we're trying to figure out why a student is acting a certain way?
Ah, that's where behavioral data comes in. It's like, what's the reason behind this behavior?
So less about how well they're doing on a test and more about what's going on inside.
Right. And a lot of those same methods we talked about for progress monitoring can be used for behavioral data too.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's not really about the specific tool, it's about the question you're trying to answer.
Exactly. Like, let's say a student is constantly calling out in class.
I've got a few of those.
You could use a scatter plot to see if it happens more during certain subjects or with certain teachers.
Ooh, that's clever. And then you could dig deeper and figure out why they're calling out, right?
Yep. Are they trying to get attention, avoid work, something else entirely?
We're like detectives building a case file with all these different pieces of data.
I love that. And once we've got all the clues, what do we do?
Well, gotta solve the mystery, right?
Exactly. We analyze that data, we look for patterns, we try to make sense of it all.
Okay, data analysis. That sounds a little intimidating.
It can be, but the book has this really helpful acronym to break it down. It's called COVERED.
Covered? Like undercover?
Exactly. C stands for compare. Always compare your data to something, like a benchmark or baseline.
Okay, so you can see if the student is making progress or not.
Yep. Then O is for organize. Charts, graphs, anything to make that data easier to digest.
Organize, then compare. Got it. What's V?
Visualize. It goes hand in hand with organizing, really. Turn those numbers into pictures, make those trends jump out at you.
Oh, I love visuals. It's like suddenly you can see the story the data is telling.
Right. Then E is for evaluate. What's the data telling you about this student? Is what you're doing working?
Or do we need to try something else?
Exactly. And then R and T, reassess and test. You're always checking in, making sure your methods are still working.
It's a never-ending cycle.
It is, just like a detective, always refining their investigation based on new evidence.
I'm starting to feel like I can actually do this. But what happens when the data tells us something's not working? That could be tough.
It can be, yeah, but it's also super valuable information. It means we need to adjust, try something different.
So it's not about giving up. It's about using the data to find a better solution.
Exactly. And remember, collecting data is just one piece of the puzzle. We've also got to communicate our findings effectively.
Oh, right, we've solved the mystery. Now we need to present our case to the jury.
Exactly. And we'll talk all about how to do that in our next segment. Stay tuned.
All right, so we've cracked the code. We've got all this data. Now what? How do we actually use it to make a difference for our students?
It's like, when a detective presents their findings, they got to be clear, concise.
And convincing.
Exactly. You got to make sure everyone understands what you found and what it means.
And you probably wouldn't explain it the same way to everyone, right?
Oh, absolutely not. You got to tailor your message to your audience.
So, like, explaining things to parents is going to be different than explaining things to other teachers.
Totally. Parents, you want to keep it simple, Focus on how their child's doing, what they can do to help.
Less about the numbers, more about the big picture.
Exactly. So instead of saying, well, based on his fluency scores, you could say something like, we're seeing Liam do really well with his writing. He's got such creative ideas, and he's getting so much better at organizing his thoughts.
Oh, I like that. And what about if there's an area where a student is struggling?
Well, you want to be honest, of course, but also focus on the positive, like we've noticed Liam's having a bit of trouble with his math facts. We're going to work on some new strategies together, and I'll keep you updated on how he's doing.
That sounds so much better than just saying Liam's failing math. It feels more like we're all on the same team.
Exactly. Now, when you're talking to the IEP team, that's when you might get a little more into the nitty-gritty with the data.
So that's where those graphs and charts come in handy.
Exactly. Visuals can be super helpful for showing the students' progress, where they're meeting goals, where they might need more support.
And it's not just about presenting the data, right? It's about using it to have a conversation, make decisions as a team.
Right. It's a collaboration.
I'm starting to see how powerful this can be. What about when we're talking to administrators? What do they want to see?
Administrators, they often like to see the big picture, how your classroom data connects to school-wide goals.
Oh, that makes sense. So if our school is focused on improving reading scores, I might show them data on how a new reading program is working in my classroom.
Exactly. It shows you're thinking about the whole school, not just your own little bubble.
This is all so helpful. But what about those trickier situations? Like, what if the data reveals something sensitive, or the parents disagree with our interpretation?
Ooh, yeah, those can be tough. In those cases, I think the most important thing is to be empathetic and transparent.
So make sure the parents feel heard and understood, even if we don't agree.
Exactly. You want to build trust, and it's helpful to have a plan in place for what to do if there's a disagreement.
Like a process for reviewing the data, maybe getting a second opinion if needed.
Exactly. You want to make sure everyone feels like they're part of the process.
This whole deep dive has been so eye-opening. I feel like I can actually use data to make a real difference for my students.
I hope so. Data can be a powerful tool, but it's all about how we use it, right?
Absolutely. It's not about judging students or controlling them. It's about understanding them, helping them learn and grow.
And creating a learning environment where everyone feels supported and successful.
Well said. And listeners, I hope you feel empowered to become data detectives in your own classrooms. Every piece of data tells a story, and those stories can help us create a better learning experience for all our students. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.